Hello on YouTube. Welcome to the live streams. If you're watching the recording, come hop on the next live stream. They're always on Zoom. We invite you, be happy to have you connect, and I'll show you how you can find out about them in a moment. We've been doing weekly. I generally intend to do weekly, though things are going to be changing again. So stay tuned for the next announcement. Not sure if next week I'm going to be here with you, but I will do my best. So check out dantestarshine.com, hop on here for the email list, and check out the channel books section. And you can find out the latest book, Heart First, is now available. It really summarizes and goes way deeper into the core of the Pleiadian Council's message about following your highest passion to the best of your ability without insistence on an outcome. Makes it really easy to understand and also to share it with others. The idea is that this brings you into a continuous healing flow state, and that flow state is your deepest connection to the source and awakens your own creativity, healing powers, and connections with others, and so much more. So I'm really excited that the book's out there, and there's still a special offer that when you post a review, I will give you 50% off any session of your choosing whenever it suits you. The reviews really help. Um, and I appreciate them even if you're not looking for a session at the time. You can get the 50% off whenever you feel like it, and um, they help a lot. So DanteStarshine.com has all that and more. Ways of supporting these sessions are done freely on a donation basis. And if you feel like supporting the channel, it really helps in covering all the costs of Zoom and the time and energy that goes into this. And I appreciate it a lot. Um, what else? So the email list will let you know when the streams happen so you can stay up to date because it's always in flux. That said, if you're in Zoom, just make sure you're muted when you're not speaking, and make sure that the person before you is kind of fully wrapped up before you begin your question. We'll take questions from YouTube and the Zoom chat if we have the time and space, which I think we will today. Thanks again for watching. If this is something you enjoy and benefit from, let your friends and your spiritual allies know. And that's how the community expands. So enjoy the session. I'll see you on the other side. Hello, we say a fantastic day to all of you. We are the Pleiadian Council. We speak on behalf of the Galactic Alliance, and it is a great gift for us to be able to reach your world. These exchanges allow for both of us to deepen our connection to the source through the service we offer each other, through the reflections that we gain from each other, and allowing both you and ourselves to gain deeper insight and drop deeper into the core love in the heart of us and all beings. Yes. So today we have titled this transmission Healing Through Joy, as there's many different pathways to healing, you could say, or ways that people attempt healing. And we tell you that joy is the ultimate pathway. And that's not an exaggeration. It's not to discount the idea that you might need to do shadow work, so-called journeys into the underworld, though joy is the light that brings you through them. In some spiritual paths like Buddhism, there's this idea that life is suffering. And so if life is suffering, why is joy the medicine? For that very reason, because in order to endure challenges, the clearest way to make it through is with a smile, with finding the things that light your heart up, through bringing softness and compassion to all of the beings that are around you. Now, when you do what you love and when you feel joyful about life, naturally you have that resilience. And even if you look at that so-called scientific level, things that bring you joy give you dopamine, and that allows for stress to decrease. The most powerful joy, however, is through connection with others. And as you connect with others, even just having a conversation, looking in somebody's eyes, feeling the felt presence of other people around you, and allowing your voice to open, your body creates this oxytocin that is even more powerful in reducing stress. And this is what allows you to heal. To heal, you have to relax, yes? And you cannot relax your being unless you feel genuine joy and happiness. And this is so important to recognize when there are different teachings out there that would bring you to think other ways about how to heal. There is the hardworking model where you have to push yourself to achieve this and that and jump through so many hoops to accomplish something, prove you are someone, and then you will be successful. And success is the most healed state, according to some, though this often leads to an attachment to your image, an attachment to the results you seek, and a disconnection from the natural joy in the process. There are many other examples presented as pathways to healing, wherein you confront them, perhaps through the idea of connecting with moments that were traumatizing for you, perhaps as a way to help you develop the energy of courage. The purpose of shadow work is to become more courageous and more resilient. It isn't that you are actually releasing dark energy, you're releasing resistance. In this reality, there has to be a balance of darkness and light in all realms. And that includes the inner realm of your personal being. And when we say healing through joy, it doesn't mean that you're forever erasing your sadness, frustration, anger, and so on. It just means that you become more oriented towards choosing joy, allowing joy to naturally fill your being, allowing there to be a sort of magnetic pull within you that directs you to things that bring you to feel joyful. And as you do that, you're able to overcome those more difficult and challenging emotions quicker, and they don't really stick to you as powerfully. You know that you're progressing on the path when you find that something that triggered you before and left you spiraling for hours now only makes you lose your balance for 1 hour or 5 minutes. And over time, you gradually reduce that window of time and that intensity of out of balance. And again, as we've said, a part of the way to make sure that you reduce that window and become more resilient is not resisting the fact that you've gone out of balance, not attaching to an idea about yourself or a spiritual ego that says, I am a person that is always perfect. Recognizing that all humans, all beings face this human condition in this realm, yes? So in that way, when you are accepting of who you are and you're accepting of the human condition, when you are oriented towards joy and you are allowing that natural magnetic pull towards what brings you joy to be alive within you, and you recognize that this is the most powerful healing form, you become more resilient. And then, yes, you can still do the idea of shadow work, the idea of regressing to face your fears, to face what brought you pain. But the practice here is actually becoming more tolerant of difficult experiences, more capable of feeling those emotions. Another example is this idea of shadow work in the sense of facing your own fears about yourself. Perhaps there's certain qualities that you are judgmental of in others. It's actually the same qualities in yourself that you most resist. And these are the things that cause you to be the most uncomfortable or socially awkward, that cause you to hold your voice back around others the most. And so to find your authentic voice, which is necessary in finding the people in your life and deeply connecting with them in the most joyful ways, yes, finding the people that resonate with you, finding the people that embrace your authentic truth, yes. And in order to do this, you have to face perhaps sometimes the sense, maybe I am over the top. Maybe I am angry at times. Maybe I am not always soft, and sometimes I am harsh. Do you have a resistance to this? Can you embrace this and let go of that resistance and that attachment to an idea, and instead forgive yourself? This releasing of resistance and increasing your capacity to hold nuances and hold complexities and see that things are not black and white, and that everything is subject to change, and that you are a very malleable and flexible being. You can be so many things. You can be wondrous things and you can be horrible things, depending on what you choose in the moment. The more you embrace this reality, the more resistances fall away, the more attachments fall away, the more you allow yourself to be just naturally as you are, just naturally accepting of reality as it is. And this is a state that allows you to then be most magnetized towards joy and what brings you joy. And we have to also remind you, shared joy is the most powerful joy. You might find a lot of joy in going on a walk for yourself, though when you're going on the same walk with somebody that you love very deeply and you can open your heart completely to, who sees you and accepts you just as you are, you experience an even deeper joy, a more profound and far-reaching joy. And therefore, it's most powerful to gravitate towards people who share your joy and can help you expand your joy. And this idea of being of service to others is perhaps the greatest joy that you can access. For as you awaken joy in other people, you experience the joy that you awaken in them. And as you awaken joy together, the vibration of the entire planet shifts. You enter into a deep and profound healing state. So the idea again is, don't go chasing shadows. Shadow work is helpful and it's very important. Yet the idea is, naturally allow yourself to move towards what brings you joy. When you encounter resistance, the tools of shadow work help you to deconstruct that resistance, develop an energy of courage, which again is not an absence of fear, but the capacity to do what you love despite the fear that is present. And this courage allows you to continue to relentlessly pursue joy. Again, you might find an obstacle, and then shadow work tools are helpful. And yes, self-care practices are deeply healing as well. Find the ones that bring the joy out in you. Make sure that you attend to self-care at all levels. That is mind, body, and heart. The body, you must work and exercise and learn to move in conscious ways, becoming aware of your posture, becoming aware of your intake and output of energy, and bringing balance. The mind, you must care for by attending to your beliefs and questioning them, developing the capacity to enter meditative and tranquil states. The heart, you must heal through relations, through allowing yourself to find your own inner truth and your own inner power and sharing that with others. by allowing other people in and letting go of the fear that holds you back from most powerfully connecting by tapping into that energy of courage. And joy is the most powerful way to expand all of these healing states. And yes, joy is just one of the many words that can direct you. And we've expanded upon so many of them. The P qualities that we go greatly in depth into are all aspects of joy. They are all things that ignite your heart and can help you find joy. And again, they are purpose, power, pleasure, peace, passion. And these qualities are the different petals of the flower of the heart. Particularly, these qualities ignite the heart and help you discover what you're truly passionate about and what your heart wants for you the most. And this will direct you towards the greatest expansion of joy. There's many other qualities that help you with the next steps of following through on what excites you to the best of your ability. The A and the C qualities that we describe help you very much with this. For example, some of these qualities are awareness, appreciation, acceptance, accountability. And the C qualities include compassion, curiosity, connectedness, contentedness, and clarity. There are more, though these are the ways that you follow through on living through your heart's passion. And finally, you have to let go of all insistence on a particular outcome, which requires the T qualities. This is your trust. This is your truth. This is your transparency, being honest about all that's real for you. And finally, telepathy. For once you let go of the masks and once you let your true self through, you tap into the power of having transpersonal levels of communication with other beings around you, including beings that are not in human form. And thus, we thank you for allowing this transmission today to take place and to be received in this way at this time. And we ask if there's any way we can be of service to you with your questions, comments, musings, or inquiries. We will begin now with those interactions.
Hi, Pleiadian Council. I'll ask a question.
Yes.
Thank you. So, just on that last note, thank you for that teaching. That was really powerful. You said that we're all able to access telepathy or if we drop the shield, drop the mask. And so I'm wondering, that just seems so hard. So I don't know if you have any pointers for, how I could do it or how, the other listeners could really develop that skill, telepathy.
Well, in the case of with other human beings, it takes two to tango, yes? So
Mm.
you can only drop the mask when other people fully drop the mask. And you can start to peel your own mask off and see if those around you take that as an invitation to do the same. But true telepathy requires that both beings involved are hiding nothing from each other. And the flow that develops between them of continuously being open about their experiences, of continuously expressing their deep inner truth and hiding nothing, allows there to be a process of attunement that allows them then to think the same thoughts at the same time, to understand each other's thoughts and feelings without having to express them, to sometimes share dreams or share visions. Though the process of connecting with another being in non-physical telepathically is actually far easier because there's always beings that are willing to meet you. And in order to do this, you have to raise your own vibration, come into a state of unconditional love by doing the things that you love, by filling your life with love, by naturally opening and expanding into that capacity to hold love and let go of particular outcomes. And then you have to pay attention to subtleties, because this idea of multidimensional communication is often exaggerated in your own expectations. A lot of this comes from movies and films where you've seen paranormal phenomena being absolutely over the top, and the actuality of it is far more subtle. Or sometimes you compare yourself to people that you see who've been doing it for many years, but the truth is that everyone started off with a stream before it became a river, before it became an ocean. So when you open to contact with non-physical beings, enjoy the stream and pay subtle and close attention to it. Sometimes this connection with these other beings comes forth as just a feeling of a presence, a sensation of energy moving through your body. It might come forth through a vision, but at first the vision might just be a singular color. You might see the color green very powerfully. And as you allow yourself to notice the details in that green, it gradually shifts and morphs, and then you get the image of an entire being. We're sorry, let's continue. So again, in order to deepen into channeling, you have to notice the subtleties, and eventually that small stream or trickle of energy that comes in expands as you pay attention to it and work with it. So you might first notice the presence of a being through a subtle sensation that might be a tingling at your crown or your heart chakra, maybe somewhere else. And as you allow yourself to expand your awareness of that sensation, it becomes a full body flow that coincides with information coming through. Or if you're very visual, you might just notice a color. That might be the color green. And as you deepen in your awareness of and appreciation of this green color, it eventually shifts and morphs, and then you have an entire vision of this being presenting itself to you. Also recognize that everybody is gifted in particular psychic senses, and some people are even psychically blind, as in they might not have clairvoyance, but they have a very powerful clairsentience, an ability to feel energy. So again, drop the comparison, and in order to develop telepathy, you must embrace the psychic senses that already work for you, paying close attention and allowing your awareness of them to expand gradually with time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's helpful.
Yes. Any further questions on any of that?
Just a follow up. So is that that was beautiful about raising the vibration to connect. Does that work with animals also, like dog? I'm assuming it does. So communicating telepathically with animals.
This is also easier than with humans because animals are hiding a lot less in general. And some of the first steps of communicating with animals is noticing how you feel when you're around them. You will feel their energy. You might feel an opening in your heart if they are playful. If there is something that is bothering them or they're afraid of, you might feel that as sadness or tightness or constriction in your body as you connect with them. As you deepen in your awareness of this, you perhaps might start to hear messages from them. It's helpful to make eye contact with them. The animal's most powerful psychic center is connected to their heart chakra. So as you pat the area at beneath their neck at the top of their back, you can create a connection between your heart and theirs, and you may feel that connection open more.
Very cool. Thank you very much.
Yes.
There's a couple of people also in the Zoom room. Do you have any questions, or I could read the question from the chat?
I do have a question. Thank you, Pleiadians, for this transmission.
Yes, absolutely.
So following up on some of what was just talked about, as far as ways to enhance or practice connection with our guides or other beings, is there a way that if we are experiencing, for instance, visions or sensing, being clairsentient and feeling energies, is there a way to connect that along with, for instance, visuals or any other of the senses in order to enhance our capability or probability of connecting with our guides, if that makes sense?
Yes, absolutely. So if you're already deep in your clairsentience and you're feeling this powerful energy, stay connected with the feeling, deepen into it for several minutes, and then also have a simultaneous focus of wherever you're feeling that sensation of energy, and then focus on your third eye center. Allow yourself to hold both levels of focus and see if an image starts to expand or evolve. Allow yourself to deepen into that image over time while still staying connected with the function or the psychic expression that is most powerful for you. That can happen in an inverse direction as well. If you are a very visual person, allow yourself to deepen in the vision while at the same time tuning your awareness back to your body. Where does this vision land in your body? How does your heart feel as the vision progresses? You might gradually scan through your whole body as you deepen into that psychic vision. In this way, you can develop both psychic senses at the same time. Though, again, as we've said, it may be true for some that they are psychically blind or psychically deaf at some capacity. One psychic sense might be very weak in a way that will be difficult to develop or impossible. And that's just a part of their soul, that soul purpose for that individual. And if that is you, embrace that and enjoy and appreciate the psychic senses that are already working most powerfully for you. Whether it's through clairsentience, feeling psychically, claircognizance, simply knowing, clairaudience, receiving messages and ideas in a verbal way, or clairvoyance and seeing it, you can get exactly the information that you need.
Okay. Thank you for that. And further to that is, how can one also use dreams or moments in dreams with those guidelines or
well, dreams are sort of experiences that are activating all of these psychic senses at once. And so they can be a way to develop these psychic senses. The first step is to become aware that you are dreaming. And this is not always the easiest. It requires your development in both waking life and dream life to be able to question reality. Ask yourself, is this real? And find methods to determine that this is, in fact, waking life and not dream life. One simple way is to attempt to push your fingers through your hand. In a dream, you may be able to do this. Another method is to look at a clock, which often appears distorted in dreams, or look at your hand. Again, these often appear very distorted in your dreams. Question all the time, is this really a dream? Yes. And then you might be able to realize you're dreaming when you are. Then to be able to psychically develop more, you may want to experience different lucid dreaming phenomena. That might mean meeting your guides in your dreams. We would suggest mostly meeting with guides and spiritual beings in your dreams, as you can get a more direct experience with them. Perhaps you attempt to meet them by going to a powerful place or lifting yourself up off the ground and flying to reach them. As you meet them, notice if you see an aura field around them. Notice how it feels in your body as you connect with them. Pay attention to any deep sense of knowing or awareness that takes place in this meeting. And you can also do this as you meet different people in your dreams or have many different experiences. It's really about then expanding your awareness somatically and visually at the same time. The more details you can take in, the more powerful this becomes. And then it becomes a process of recall. The recall makes these faculties even more deep. So when you wake up from the dream, stay tuned into a space in between. Try not to move your body or open your eyes, and go back to an in-between state where you recall as much of the dream as possible, recalling as much of the details as possible, exactly how things looked and how things felt in your body. And then once you've done the recall, either write it out, type it out, or record a history of your dream as a way to make it even more documented and easy to recall when you want. All of these both deepen your dream recall ability and also the psychic development function within dreams.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. I'm glad you. Thank you, Pleiadians.
Oh, thanks to you as well.
I'll go ahead and read the question in the chat that you put in there earlier. Okay. So the question is, could you tell me why the symbol of the dragon is on the Welsh flag, please, and of Saint David slaying a real dragon? And then there's a second part about a Welsh village. Also, there's a place called Muthvi in Wales, where the legend states that the magical lady of the lake came out of the lake and married a local man. Ever since then, this Welsh village has had real physicians calling the physicians of Muthvi as the lady gave her 3 sons this sacred healing knowledge. What can you tell us of this, please? Thank you.
Well, the dragon represents many things. On one hand, it is the embodiment of the Kundalini energy, which is the energy of awakening through the body. And this powerful energy ripples upwards from the root chakra and is sort of like a detoxifying and awakening agent. It brings to the surface psychic energies that are dormant in all of the chakras and allows the chakras to start to function at their full capacity. The dragon can also represent the deep psychic nature of nature itself, that there are metaphysical beings that are present all around you, and they have spirits, and also lakes have spirits, mountains have spirits, and energy travels between these sacred ley lines among your planet. And the idea of the earth energies themselves often come to be represented as dragons, much in the same way the earth has this sort of Kundalini energy of awakening that sometimes gets blocked, sometimes gets disturbed. The idea of slaying of dragons is, in this sense, overcoming the blockages in this Kundalini energy. And in some mythologies, dragons are often depicted as greedy and hoarding. And this is one of the ways that this psychic energy becomes blocked. When there is this selfishness and self-centeredness, one blocks oneself off from feeling the inherent interconnection to the rest of the world. And this dragon energy of awakening becomes reclusive and stagnant. And so this idea is about overcoming your inner obstacles to transformation, overcoming what some have called sins, the idea of greed, of gluttony, of self-centeredness. We wouldn't use the same terms that some traditions point to as, in a modern context, some of these terms might be a bit confused. For example, pride. Yes, the arrogant nature of pride blocks you, but to have self-worth, as you say, is inherent. And sometimes through misunderstanding what these terms really mean, people attempt to think that they are pious when actually they're holding themselves back. So it should be reevaluated a bit. Now, the idea of the healing power of this lake, it comes from the fact that, again, this is a power spot. This is among the ley lines, and there's a powerful charge of energy here. Waters itself are generally healing. Water is the element of healing, cleansing, and purification. And this particular body of water has that natural healing power. This lady of the lake is the spiritual energy of the lake that blesses those that seek her for the healing power. And thus, many people are naturally drawn here again and again for these rejuvenating waters. It's a part of an initiation process for many different healers. And these mythologies point to that and help people understand the mystical and healing power of the earth itself.
Thank you.
Yes.
It looks like someone is having some audio problems and in the Zoom room and has a question.
All right.
It says, how can we cultivate a form of hope that is rooted in truth and soul alignment rather than escapism or projection? And how can we recognize the difference?
Oh, this is a very good question. So this sort of soul-aligned hope that leads to the best outcomes is not insistent, resistant, or in denial. It's a hope in your own capacity to deal with and cope with whatever may arise. A sort of escapist hope is what you might call blind optimism or blind faith. And it's the idea that everything will work out the way that I want it to, or for the better inherently. And this is why we go into detail with this law of neutrality, that all phenomena are neutral and can be used in a positive way. The neutrality is from Source's perspective, as Source allows for all expressions of what you call positive and negative energy to be inherently a part of creation. And this is actually a gift that gives you the power to choose. And so instead, a blind optimism says, well, everything that happens is great. It's already great. And there's definitely many important reasons for it that are inherent. But this more resilient and more adaptable sort of hope allows you to recognize that the power of creating meaning is in your hands. And therefore, the power to create reasons for something happening is in your hands. So when you recognize that all challenges and obstacles and negative phenomena are lessons for you in order to grow, then you allow yourself to be, in that sense, always hopeful that there is good in a situation, because you recognize your own power to create good. And to be in a state where you're more reliant on your own capacity to transmute and transform darkness into light allows you to actually have the greatest probability of making the most out of all that comes. Rather, when you expect a very specific thing to happen all the time, you diminish your own resilience because you get so attached to the idea of what you think is going to happen that when something different happens, you lose your power to adapt and to make your own meaning out of that situation and see the positives in that situation. This approach to hope that brings you back to trusting in yourself and recognizing the uncertainty inherent in the universe makes you a very powerful creator. You have to embrace uncertainty, embrace the fact that you'll never fully know what is going to happen. And that actually makes it more exciting and gives you more power. Because again, this power is the ability to let go of the control that you don't have so you can more fully embrace your own power to control yourself and your own capacity to adapt.
It's fascinating. I actually have a question to follow up on that, and then
Yes.
The original person who asked the question has a follow-up. But how does that then play? How does free will then play into what you've just talked about as far as courage and ability to adapt and be flexible and nimble?
Well, you have the choice whether you resist or whether you allow. You have the choice as to what you define all situations as. If your car breaks down, you can decide if that's something to be terrified and upset about, or you can decide if maybe there's a reason for that. There's something you can appreciate about this delay. If you get into a conflict in your relationship, you can decide if that means that this relationship is bad or you are threatened by its potential end, or you can define it as an exciting way to get to know each other better and to learn different communication skills, and so on. You can decide what the meaning in every situation is, and that is an important part of free will and free choice. Also, it comes down to the most subtle things. Do you choose to take a deeper breath in and allow yourself to be more completely present, or do you choose to tense up? This is what it means when we say, and others say, your feeling states are also a choice. It isn't to make you feel overly responsible for when things go wrong and you don't feel good, but it's to make you aware that you can choose to become more disrupted by those obstacles, or you can choose to become more resilient and more capable in spite of them. And that choice relies entirely within you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you also choose where your life course is headed. And on a certain at a certain level, you can say that even though there is choice, there is also fate, that your soul is destined to go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
As we've said before, despite that, there's many different timelines, and you have the ability to choose between them. Source doesn't decide that this timeline is better than that timeline, but through that intuition present in your heart of that feeling of expansion and love that directs you in certain areas, you are naturally given the signal to where that highest timeline for you is. Now, we will say that sometimes that feeling in your heart guides you to experiences that are designed to teach you lessons, and you don't know why you're learning that lesson at the time. But through integrating that lesson, there is the potential to, on your timeline, evade other obstacles. And it's really very helpful for you to look back at some of the events in your past timeline that you might still have a resistant charge about. Ask yourself, what did I learn from that experience? And how did that lesson steer me away from other mistakes in the future? When you can embrace that, then you can actually give more thanks for that experience and allow it to not be something that holds you back or makes you feel upset. Instead, you can give thanks even for things that didn't go the way that you wanted. But again, you have to choose. You have to choose your perspective just as much as you have to choose what to do.
Ah, incredible, so profound. Thank you for following up on that. And then the other question from the original person's question is, what do we most need to remember when we feel like all hope is lost?
Well, you have to remember at that time that what we describe as the law of your true needs. This is when you meet all of your basic needs and your interpersonal needs, you will thrive. When you breathe deeply, drink clean water, eat good food, rest your body, have a nice environment, have good relationships, and express yourself, you will thrive. And the more you do that, you will thrive more and more. Sometimes people lose the idea of hope because they were attached to specific outcomes. So remember also the formula. Don't have attachment to specific outcomes. Instead, recognize that your soul has come here to grow and expand through challenges. Sometimes those challenges are in not getting what you want, but recognizing that you can still experience deep love, deep connection to source, and the power to thrive through this idea of taking care of yourself. And remember also that taking care of yourself becomes easier when you take care of others. That's what the idea of family and community is all about. And unfortunately, in your world, you are dealing with this era of individualism in which you have been given this notion that you are to be deeply independent when actually you are all interdependent, sometimes pretending that you are not. And so by helping other people meet their needs, you also meet your own needs deeper, and then you thrive together. Sometimes it's very helpful to let go of the specific things that you think you want and focus instead on the idea of being well and being happy. And then you'll recognize it doesn't take just as much to be well and to be happy. And actually, when you consider this idea of the law of attraction, you must then recognize that when you're in a resistant state, you're pushing away the things that would otherwise be drawn to you by the intensity of your resistance and the stress and repulsive energy that it creates. So often you need to relax more. And sometimes feeling hopeless is an invitation to relax, surrender, and let go. And as you do that, you can reprioritize and redirect your energy to the things that will naturally allow you to thrive.
Hi, Council. It's Raina. I have one more question.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I have a question about kind of ties into what we've been talking about, but I have a son and I have a friend who's got a son, and they're young men, and I find that actually my brother has a son too, and I don't know if it's definitely not just people who identify as male, but it's kind of a younger generation feeling of hopelessness, feeling that there's like, what's the point of all of this? Feeling, I think it's kind of some depression around the state of the world, and kind of seeing the world as something that they might not be able to excel in because everything is so challenging. It's hard to make money, to buy a house, there's so much information coming at them. And so I guess my question is really around how, and I think I might know the answer, but what kind of advice or direction do we help some of the younger generation who's coming up? And I know that a lot of them are more open spiritually, but they're not necessarily seeing it because they're bogged down with all of this worry about the state of the world.
Well, the idea of the state of the world in many of these cases is actually a belief about oneself disguised as the sense that the world is bad, because that's the story that is being told. But why it actually becomes depressing is because they start to believe that in this condition, in this environment, I cannot thrive. And they may be attached to different ideas, as you said, of what they've learned they have to do in order to be successful. In order to be successful, you have to have your own house. You have to be independent. You have to be this, you have to be that. And encourage these people, whether they are young, whether they are old, whether they are male or female or something different, allow them to recognize that success is in being a well-being. It's in feeling joyous, being yourself, being natural. You can be successful and live at home with your parents. You can be successful and live in entirely different ways. You can be successful and in bankruptcy. You can be successful and suffering from a chronic health condition. It doesn't matter. You have to, in order to overcome what you're in, you have to redefine success. Success is in allowing your heart to be naturally open and healthy and happy. And in this sense, thriving. You may encourage people also to look to other cultures where poverty is far more common. In so much of the world, people live still in a very traditional way, very oriented towards family and connection. And because they are meeting their needs, which are, again, for food, water, shelter, and so on, but also for relationship and self-expression. And they live in communities where they care for each other and they love each other. They are happy. Would you say they are unsuccessful? Of course, they may still struggle. And we're not saying that there aren't cases where people are suffering greatly. But in many cases, despite having limited resources or having to work harder, people are happy. And we would say that's success. So redefine success and recognize as well that your world has evolved to this point of being far too fiercely independent. And this independence leads to self-obsession, egoism, and narcissism. And this is actually at the root of many experiences of depression. It's this idea that I have to be someone that denies the natural acceptance of who one already is. When your dreams are so far away that they are deeply out of reach, they aren't dreams at all. They're nightmares, because they awaken resistance within you and hopelessness within you. Redefine what success is and dream a dream that's possible based on that new realization that success is just being happy and being accepting.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes. So let's take a moment to close with a brief little meditation. We invite you to tune into your heart and picture a very brilliant flower here. As you inhale, see the petals fall off the flower. And as you exhale more slowly, visualize the petals growing once again. Exhale as slowly as you can and even hold your breath out slightly. And as you inhale, picture the flowers falling off, the petals once in bloom, now disintegrating. And exhale slowly. Watch the flower grow anew. See new petals grow. Perhaps they're more intricate, more beautiful than before. Again, as you inhale, watch them fall away. Continue cycling in this way. Exhaling and seeing the petals grow. Inhaling and watching them fall away. This practice is helpful in helping you recognize that often you have to let go to let in. Often you have to release in order to embrace. Letting go is often making space for something new to come in. And as you feel deeply connected with your heart center and you embrace your power to control the exhale, to control the release, to extend the release and deepen it, more life, more prana actually enters your body through the space that you create. And take one final deep inhalation in and slowly exhale and watch the flower get bigger than it's ever gotten before. And hold the breath out for some seconds this time when you get to the very end. And notice the petals of this flower have now expanded to every part of your body. Flowers abound with every cell within you. This is the power of your expansion. As you inhale, take all of this light and energy in and let it carry with you to find joy that brings you through your life, to seek out the things that expand your joy and know that this is the medicine. If you feel depressed, seek out what brings you joyous connection. And remember that most powerful joy is shared joy. And you are here to co-create this new reality together. Find the people that ignite the flame of your heart, whose joy brings your joy out. And know that this world will change the more people tune to this frequency. When you see a frown, smile. When you see a closed heart, open your heart even more. Let go of the walls that separate you, and you will find the essence of the universe is ever more present and expansive within you as you notice all of the powerful webs of interconnection that keep you as one. Our unconditional love and gratitude to you, and we wish you a wondrous rest of your day at this time, then, yes? All right.
Thank you, Dante.
Thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks for co-creating.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. How was the transmission today?
It was
Oh,
good. Yeah.
always
Yay.
in my, yes.
Awesome.
Congratulations on your book.
Thank you. Yeah. If you haven't checked it out yet, Heart First is available on the website, and it goes really deep into these teachings. It's all about being perpetually in this state of heart openness, heartfulness, and how this can transform your life, of finding the things that ignite your heart, and also just as much about interrupting the cycles of resistance that can take us away and put us in a sort of trapped state. When we can catch these things quicker and notice them as they rise up, we keep ourselves much more in that flow. So yeah, DanteStarshine.com has all that info as well. There's ways to give back to support the sessions there if you feel called. These sessions are done on donations. If you optional donations, if it resonates with you, it supports the Zoom and all the time that goes into it, and I appreciate it. And I look forward to connecting with you in other ways as well. But yeah, I don't know. Feel free to share anything else if you'd like while we're here. Those that are present. How did the book resonate?
I have to confess, I haven't read the whole thing yet.
Okay.
Started, because I was traveling and I just started reading it, but it's one of those books like your other books that it's like taking it in little nuggets and letting it absorb and then going back to it and then reading other parts. And it's just
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think that's true as well. Some people have read it and they say it's like very dense writing, not dense as in heavy, but like
right.
when you are introduced to an idea, it's like, wow, okay, like that's a lot to take in, and it's kind of moving from one of those ideas to another. And that's why I think I really recommend it as like an oracle where you can turn to a random page, and then
Mhm.
that can be exactly synchronistically what is right for you at that time. And I have an idea of eventually creating an oracle deck, but I have thousands of ideas and unfinished projects and travel plans and things to
Yeah.
do. So yeah, I don't know when that will happen.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, this time I've gotten the printed versions of your other books. This time I got the digital to support the Amazon piece, but I think I'm gonna already get a printed piece also because of that very reason. You can really flow read it and keep going back to it. So yeah, it's lovely. It's beautiful. Thank you, Dante.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much for supporting. And a reminder that half price sessions when you post a review, and no, we'll say the review should be done by this month, but there's no timeline for the sessions. Like maybe sometime in the next year would be great, but whenever it resonates. So thank you for supporting. The reviews really help. sharing it with others really helps. And I also can send like PDF if you don't want to do the Amazon thing, which I understand too. But anyway, yeah, moving on. It's my last day before another transition. Thank you so much, and see you next time. Love, 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 love. Bye bye.
Love you. Bye,
Bye.
Dante. Bye.